All right. Hello, hello, everyone. So excited to be talking to a longtime friend of mine, Jon Loomer, super amazing marketer, super an inspiration in Facebook ads and all. And, it's just been fun to watch each other's journeys around this. We speak at a lot of the same events sometimes. Well, I guess it's really just social media. Have we spoken at other events together? I think actually
No, I mean,
it's
I've
funny.
only really spoken at two different places in social media marketing world was when I was doing every year until
Yeah.
COVID. Until
Yeah,
COVID, that was the
yeah.
last time.
COVID. I know. COVID. We'll get into that. Ugh.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with Jon Loomer, he runs a fantastic program called Power Hitters Club. You've got tons of fans, tons of followers, tons of YouTube subscribers. Your main focus has all been all about Facebook and Facebook ads, and I was noticing that John and I both kind of fell off the cliff on our blogging a
Mhm.
little bit and in the past year. And I was thinking, I wonder if John's burned out too. And he just sent out an email to his list, and which I'm following, which everyone should follow, Jon Loomer's list, um, about being burnt out. And so I thought this is a great topic for discussion. And I wanted to dive deeper into that and kind of talk about burnout as a content creator, ads
Mhm.
manager, all that stuff. So, John,
Yeah.
welcome.
Well, thank you, Andrea. Yeah, long time, long time.
I know. So
Good to see
cool.
you again.
Exactly. I know. I know. We haven't seen people in years.
I know. Look, I mean, I even remember when we first met. It was like we did, like we were both in Colorado, but
Yep.
we had kind of been uh, knowing of each other for a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we met in Boulder, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's
awesome.
I'm just amazed, like thinking back, like all the stuff that's happened over the last
Right.
for me 11 years. I mean, how long have you been doing this now?
Yeah, so I started my business in 2009, and it was
Wow.
yours was really close to that,
It's
right?
2011.
Yeah.
2011,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
wasn't
I
even
was
really a business at that point, but yeah,
yeah,
2011. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I started kind of slow, and it's kind of ramped up. Whatever. I never really expected my business to be a full time
Yeah.
income kind of thing, and I was always like, oh, if I can make $1,000 a month, that'll be great, and
Yeah.
and now it's taken off. But we were talking about that a little bit um, before before we went live here on the expectations when you were building your business, and yeah,
Well, it's interesting because first of all, I didn't know how to start a business. I
yeah,
did, and it kind of crept up on me. Like I was focused first on just writing and creating content and building my brand, which led to building an email list. And then once I
right,
had that email list, like I guess I can sell to this thing. And
yeah,
well, and I won't even say I said I guess I can. Like I
yeah,
didn't know if I could, and
yeah,
tried, and I did. And so like that, those early days were just all about okay, well let's just try this now. And then eventually, like I actually had a business and
right,
so much of the energy was spent around okay, we've got this business now, this is awesome. Everything's about like what's happening right in front of me,
right,
wanting to streamline it, use the right processes, software, everything else, to make it as easy as possible, and really not thinking I'm building something that I'm going to be doing for the next 10 to 20 years,
yeah,
and making sure it sustains. And so that's been the weird, unique challenge for any of us who've been doing this for a while. Of those ups and downs,
right.
like oh, I was supposed to evolve. I was, supposed, I was it's like, has everything else changed? Like, there's this like weird, I don't know if it's arrogance or whatever. It's like, well, I know how to do this. I made
Right.
it work, and this is always going to work. And
Yeah.
it's not always going to work.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you're talking about it has to evolve, right? Because do you think that's what kind of caused the burnout is that it was just too much of the same thing over and over? You just didn't have energy for it?
I think that's part of it. Look, it's I think everyone has a complicated story. I mean, for me, it was like my business was always kind of secondary. Well, I mean, I wanted my business to be something that would allow me to ultimately like, coach my kids' baseball teams,
Right.
right? And spend a lot of time with them growing up. And when this all started, they were 10, 7, and 3. And so that was my 100% focus. And I always kind of joke that I was a full-time baseball coach and part-time entrepreneur because especially the last few years, it was just so much of my time and energy was spent there.
Yeah.
Um, so there was that, and so like I think in the middle of this, right when things got at the biggest point, um, but also I'm getting busier on other stuff. I'm like thinking like, okay, how can I spend less time doing this? So I'd have someone else writing content occasionally, like I have guest writers. I'd have someone else, teaching courses and stuff like that. And I just would become less sharp as a result
Mm,
because I wasn't forcing myself to like keep that glass full.
right.
Um, and so, a lot of things I would say led to this. But yeah, the whole matter of doing the same stuff all the time. Like, "Oh, I'm kind of tired of talking about Facebook ads." Really, really, like it might
I
like
know.
it came to a point. It's like, am I gonna be talking about this 20 years later? Like, probably not. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's just I think it's a unique challenge. And when's the last time you don't work in an office, right? You just work at
Yeah, no, I've always worked at home, and I think that's, been good and bad. I've thought about an office to kind of get me centered because, I think there does need to be some kind of structure to your day, obviously.
yeah.
But yeah, I've always worked at home. And so I think another challenge that came into play with all of this is COVID, I think, had a really different effect on us than we even realize. I
Mm,
think that has led a lot to the burnout, and I'm hearing other people say the same thing, and it's even now, like, even now when we've been open for a little bit and been able to get back to some of the activities, I still don't feel the same energy that I
yeah.
had, and I wonder, I don't know if it's just being whatever, 13 years in or 12, whatever point I'm at here into my business, that where it's like was the beginner mindset was like, "Ooh, this is all exciting," and we're like, "Can't wait for all the changes so we can blog about them," you know?
Exactly.
Now it's like, "Oh, God, it's changed again."
Right. But yeah, I mean, I think first of all, working from home is a unique challenge. Like I've been working from home since 2008.
Mm,
So that's 14 years of not working in an office. And well, that's great. Uh feel like because as someone who's already an introvert,
mm,
if I'm not forcing myself, if I don't have a way to force me to uh talk to people, I'm just
right.
not gonna do it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
leave the house, right? So I think that's escalated. Like I feel like I've gotten more antisocial as a result. Like so, coaching baseball is like the only way that I was ever like talking to people.
Mhm.
Um, so there was that, and but I think that creates a whole other issue.
Right.
Right? If you're not around people all the time and building
Right.
friendships and things like
Yeah.
that, but there's a matter of holding yourself accountable and structuring your day, kind of like you're talking about too.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
even like just getting ideas and being around people that have like, I went to a conference recently where it's just all entrepreneurs and everyone's like bouncing stuff off. And I'm like, ooh, wow, that's a great idea. That's a great, so,
Yeah.
it kind of helps you think in a different way. Cause if we're just in this little bubble of our own thinking, it's just kind of,
Well,
it's,
yeah, and I would say like again, I think being a little bit of an introvert, I kind of built it that way intentionally. Like I'm most comfortable to a point kind of on my own and in my bubble. So I
yeah.
made it more and more of a bubble. as we went, because like
Yeah.
early on, like I had a lot of friendships within within marketing and stuff. We talked a lot, and I just kind of lost touch with everybody
Mhm.
over those years too. But yeah, I think things were already kind of had the uh potential for burnout and whatnot. And then yeah, when COVID hit,
Yeah.
I think this it was something that everybody handled differently, right?
Right.
So I still, because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, this is a huge opportunity because everyone's going online and
Mhm.
they need our help and this and that.
Right.
I still remember though, kind of, my frame of mind, because we had the business and I was still kind of oblivious because we had just gotten back from social media marketing world.
Right.
And I was coaching this baseball team, and we were about to go on a trip to Arizona,
Yeah.
and we're thinking, should we do this or not? And I remember sending an email to my entire list, because I started hearing things from, like COVID is this a big deal, whatever. And I was just basically, I was like, how are you guys doing? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's something big that's happening. Here's what's happening in my life, et cetera, et cetera. And I received so many emails from people
Wow.
like in Italy and overseas. Are like,
Yeah.
John, take this seriously. People are dying. This is
Yeah.
crazy. And I think it was that point forward that I kind of lost my drive, my motivation to sell.
Oh, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
there are people losing
Right.
their jobs, there are
Yeah.
people losing their lives, there are people, their businesses are struggling.
Mm.
Buy my stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, so one of the first of all, my entire year, I pretty much scrapped whatever plans I had, and like I really couldn't get motivated. Like who cares about Facebook ads? It's kind of the way I felt personally. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure people did care, but so the first thing I did, honestly, though, first training I ended up doing was more of like, how do you get online? Run webinars and stuff like that. But that was like I sold it really cheaply, just because I didn't want to gouge people.
Yeah.
I was trying to help people. I was worried more about that than making money.
Right.
But it was like honestly, that's where it really, for me, in terms of motivation and burnout, it really started to spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I've been like you said, I've been talking to a lot of people and it's looked different for everybody. And I
Yeah.
think and everyone has to come out of it differently, I think, too, because they're, everyone responds to different motivations. Like I remember I was trying to like get off my bed and be like, ah, I gotta write a blog post. And I just,
Mm,
couldn't do it. So that's the other disadvantage of working at home. The bed is like right over there. I can just
right.
go lay
Exactly.
down. So let's talk about how you've kind of gotten out of that space. Like
Yeah.
you've been really cranking out the content with your TikTok videos and your reels and all that stuff, and it's been amazing. Is that kind of what has pulled you out, or was there something else that got you out of that space?
It was kind of a convergence of timing here, in that yeah, things haven't been going great, but I didn't really have the time or energy or space to truly make big changes
Mhm.
because of all the baseball stuff was just to any outsider, like it's really hard to explain. But travel baseball, like when you start talking about 14-year-olds, and we're at a high level, and just the intensity and dealing with parents and just dealing with everything, it's a lot of the months of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking of that. And so my son, my youngest son, last year, that was 14U. So after that, he was going to high school. So that was basically the end of the road for me as a coach, at least for now, at least as a dad coach. And so it was perfect timing, because it's like something had to change. Like I've
Yeah.
got to do something different. This is not working. So it was perfect. I mean, that happened. I mean, I kind of gave myself a month or so to like, rewind and reflect and all that kind of stuff. But then it's a matter of, okay, I mean, what am I not doing? Um, I what is working out there? What are the things that I used to do that maybe I should be doing that I got away from? I knew that I had to get into video. Scared, like I say, scared me. Like it's just one of those things where like I just didn't know where to start. Like it's really hard when you go from something like blogging, where I've always felt so comfortable doing. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I could teach a course on blogging. I can write a
Yeah.
blog in an hour, no
Uh-huh.
problem. And my website always does really well. Tell me to create a video, and honestly, there's something about short form video. It's even harder because
Yeah.
like
Yeah. You have to
it,
be super succinct and
and
really stick with one idea. Yeah.
and I am not succinct as I think anyone watching this can tell. So that was a huge challenge, but just like the matter of like I've always avoided the camera. So whether it's writing a blog, maybe doing a podcast, webinars, like you're not going to see my face a whole lot when I'm doing that stuff, and it's just like it's just one less thing to worry about for me.
Right.
So I've gotten away with that. Like okay, now I'm gonna do video and like open up that TikTok app. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Like, no idea.
Yeah.
And so on one hand, feeling like an expert on the blogging side, and then feeling like a complete noob, and like worry about creating something that's terrible. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to create something that's terrible.
Yeah.
So, so whether it's TikTok or Reels or whatever, I knew I
Yeah.
had to create video. And
Mhm.
for me, look, I don't know if TikTok's going to get banned in the US or whatever. Uh, but to me, doesn't really matter because it's like I think that was a perfect place to immerse myself in short form video to learn it and force
Mhm.
myself. And part of it was just like embracing that I'm going to create some really bad videos. And like
Yeah.
every time I create one though, that's an opportunity to learn. Like
Yeah.
what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? What honestly, so much of that this creation is just like, how can I be more efficient? Like,
Right.
where am I wasting my time? Because I was early going, I was creating these videos and I was determined to do 3 a day, and they were taking 2 hours per video. I'm like, I just
Wow,
can't.
for the short form
Yeah,
for the short. That's
right.
amazing to hear. And I'm so glad to hear that because I've been doing some 5-minute podcasts and I'm like, why is this taking so long?
Yeah, and I love, by the way, the 5-minute podcast. Like that's something I started doing too a
Yeah.
year ago. And
Yeah.
it is easier though. Like
Yeah.
once you get in the flow doing those. But
Yeah.
so anyway, I think for anyone who wants to get into into video, that's a big part of it. Is like
Yeah.
I follow so many people who do not create anything, and I understand why, but I don't think you can avoid it anymore. I think it's really
Right.
important.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's interesting to hear from you. And I've talked to a lot of other people who have said this as well, is that they're just scared to do
yeah,
video. And I put on a wig to get over
yeah,
my fear. I like
yeah,
was someone I was a whole different persona for to get over that. And I could do that, but doing it as yourself is very feels very vulnerable, I think, for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me is getting over that was just a matter of just accepting that
Yeah.
it was gonna be hard.
Yeah.
It was gonna be far
Yeah.
from perfect,
Yeah.
and it was okay. It's kinda like giving myself permission that it was okay to suck,
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because it's part of
Mandy.
the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Mandy said, yeah, for sure, Mandy. Short copy is harder to write than long copy. And I didn't
Mm.
give a shout out to Lisa earlier. Hey, Lisa. Just saying
Hey,
that.
Lisa, yeah, that's
I
fun.
know. Super fun. So yeah, it is part of the process. And I think again, just allowing yourself to say, I'm gonna make some bad videos. And
Yeah.
and I think that's great because I look back at my blog posts when I started that, they were crap, right?
Mhm.
So, and then you get better. So
Right.
it's hard when you've mastered a medium and then you have to go into a new medium. But I do think it is completely unavoidable. Yeah, Jennifer's like, fear is real.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's a matter of, you don't have to abandon that other medium either, right?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
I'm
What can
still
enhance it?
blogging.
Yeah.
It can, and they absolutely do. Because like, I have my podcast. I embed podcast episodes above my blog posts, and then it's like,
Right.
oh, this is something I actually talked about in a video.
Right.
Here's the
Right.
embedded video.
Yeah.
So they can help each other too.
So why don't you share a few things? Your TikTok has been blowing up and doing great. So why don't you share a few of your like lessons you've learned from creating these short form videos? What, you've been doing great stuff with like the demos. That's
Mhm.
amazing. But what have you learned from doing this process?
So much. And first of all, to me, it's less, kind of, I was saying, is less about the platform
Mhm.
and TikTok, and more about the format. Because look, if TikTok were the only platform that allowed you to do these short form videos that are 9 by 16, I'd probably never do it. But the thing is, you apply what you learn there, and I know all the platforms are different, whatever. But you could take that same video and push it to Facebook Reels, push it to Instagram Reels.
Right.
You got YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
I mean, even you've got video on LinkedIn, even though that's square. Um, it's it can be applied everywhere. So whatever you learn there, you can apply everywhere,
Right.
even if everybody consumes content a little bit differently. But so the main thing I've kind of realized, first of all, um, get to the point, which I am not great at. Uh, so like the main purpose of the video, make it very clear right away. None of this, hey, how you doing? I'm just sitting back here, hanging out with my kids, and I'm thinking about, no, don't do that. Get to the point. What is the one thing that you're about to talk about? It's the hook, whatever. That's one of the things I've realized. The other thing is, like, if you're like me and you ramble, but not only do you ramble, you struggle with your words, like saying things clearly. Like, I stumble over my words a lot. So that was the hardest thing at first, 'cause I would try to do it in one shot,
Mm,
and I was like, oh, I got to start over again. I screwed it up.
yeah.
That you don't have to do that. So one thing I've realized is just I just sit down, and I don't even like script it out usually. Like, sometimes I'll have a few lines, but you can go one line at a time, one thought at a time, record it, pause in between, think about it. Okay, what was it? And so I edit it all up. Like, I basically record from anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Um, Edit out the stuff, the mistakes, whatnot.
Right.
I even can move stuff around. Like, oh, like I'll think later on. Oh, I should have mentioned this. I talk about it later on, and then I move it. Oops, so move it to the front.
Right.
And so, like, little things you can do once you start editing,
Right.
when it's short form.
Yeah.
So that kind of removes some fear for me as well. It's like, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
clean it up and make it a lot better. Now,
Exactly.
if you watch the original video, I have all kinds of mistakes, and it's ridiculous. Like, I've done a blooper reel one time where it's like, it was so I could not get this thought out. It was ridiculous.
I know I can't. I want to get some blooper reels too because I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's a big part of it. Yeah, just
Yeah.
you can edit
Yeah.
it, and it,
What editing tool do you use?
so this thing, people ask me a lot, like, how do you do it? What
Yeah.
what software? Like, I in a way, I don't even want to tell people, because I'm
Right.
like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the way I do things is all that ideal for everybody, right?
Right.
So basically, my setup is this. I've got this thing that holds my phone. I have it here, over here in the corner, that takes the video.
Right.
Um, and then I'm using ScreenFlow.
Mm-hmm.
Old friend of ours, John Hayden, taught me how to use
Yeah.
ScreenFlow probably more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I used ScreenFlow, and I've used it for years, very comfortable with it. So that's what I
Right.
use. But I use ScreenFlow to record my screen, and most importantly, mic. So I don't have to go off my phone's
Oh,
mic.
yeah.
And then I use ScreenFlow, though, to edit.
Mhm.
So, move
Yeah.
stuff around, cut it up, whatever,
Yep.
and try to sync up the audio the best I can. And then for screen shares as well. So yeah, a lot of times I'll do tutorials.
Yeah.
And so I have that other video going where I'm walking people through something. I got my head thing. That whole head thing is like, that's another example again. Like, oh, how'd you do that? Well, I use ScreenFlow, but it's such a workaround because they don't have like this mask option where you could do that. So you have
Uh,
to crop it in a certain way.
oh,
It's not
wow.
even like a perfect circle
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to end up doing that. So, but it's like little. So the main thing is like find whatever system works best for you. This is the
Right.
system that I found works great for me. Like I know that people use oh man, what's it? Descript,
Yeah.
things like that. I've tested Descript out. I think ultimately it probably take me more time to use Descript right now.
Yeah.
But it's just find what makes you most efficient, I guess, and you're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly. It's all, yeah, the tools are secondary. It's all, I mean, they can all have pluses and minuses, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Awesome. Well, I want to get to I did cram a little bit too much in topics into our interview today.
Because
So
I
let's
ramble and you can't edit it out.
yeah, succinct, John. Succinct.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I'm teasing. So I do want to spend the last 4 minutes, whatever, talking about kind of what you are seeing, what your kind of vision is for what's going to happen in 2023, especially with Facebook ads, because that's your medium. But what are you kind of seeing there and predicting for performance? Because I know you saw this, and I also saw this, that we didn't have the fourth quarter huge increase in CPMs. I got great performance for a lot of my ads in fourth quarter. So I don't know if that means Facebook ads is getting better in general. What do you think?
I mean, I think that I think we often misinterpret performance as being on our side, and a lot of times it has to do with CPM,
Yeah,
just the cost to reach people.
right.
Because, and I say it goes both ways. Like, oh, why can't this ad work? I feel like I'm doing a really good job. Well, it's
Yeah.
just because it's so expensive to reach people.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
A lot
That
of times,
first, yeah. It
it,
all trickles down, right? So
right? Well, because you could have two ads or two campaigns
yeah.
where they have the exact same conversion rate, one where it's 2 or 3 times as much to reach people,
Yeah.
and that one could be completely waste of time. The other one, it's like, "Oh, man, I'm amazing." Well, it's actually just because it's cheap to reach people. So, yeah, that's
Right.
what we're seeing right now is it's like all years CPMs have been down compared to last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it also looks like there was no spike, which great for advertisers.
Right.
Be a little worried though, I think about Facebook, like what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're if advertisers are abandoning Facebook or spending less, I mean, they're also Facebook's creating Meta's creating new placements here and there too.
Yep.
I mean, that helps anytime you have
Yep.
more inventory. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, do you think or do you think it's a matter of less competition, or is Facebook getting better at predicting the machine learning, all that AI, whatever?
Well, yeah, I think the machine learning is pretty incredible. I mean, just the fact that kind of the way to advertise these days, which is completely against anything I ever did before, is going broad,
Yes.
especially if it's e-com, right? My biggest concern is if I'm promoting content and I'm trying to drive people to my blog, that's a really bad approach generally, is going broad. But if you're
Wide. Yeah.
promoting product where Facebook can say, "Oh, I know the category of this product because your product catalog, these people have been searching for this product, whether it's other websites or whatever." And just going as broad as possible is often the best way to go. So I think
Right.
machine learning is great. I think there's signs that Facebook must be gaining confidence in their attribution and optimization and whatnot, since they're bringing back some of the things that they took away after
Right.
iOS. I mean,
Hmm.
the fact that you can actually compare attribution, add a column for 28-day click attribution,
Yeah.
get the breakdowns by conversion. Now, like those things, like why would they bring them back and invest in the people and the resources to do that
Right.
when they know that other devices are going to have more restrictions, browsers are going to have more restrictions?
Right.
So they still see a future for this stuff. There must be a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what that means. Like if they've got some great attribution tools coming, optimization tools. There was something I actually today just published a video this morning that came out of some one sheeter that they have about the API related to post-conversion optimization, which is a feature that's being tested that's supposed to be rolled out next year. I don't know what it means. It never
Right.
explained what it was, but it's
Post-conversion optimization.
post-convert. So I don't know if that meant post as in a Facebook post or after. I think it means after conversion optimization. So like the people who will buy again, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
interesting.
So
Yeah, that'd be cool if you could
yeah.
get those higher, the higher lifetime value clients, right? So that's kind of interesting to think about. I don't know.
Yeah.
All
So
speculation.
there's a lot of, I don't know. It seems like it's heading in a good direction for advertisers after, the last year and a half or so has
Yeah.
been tough.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, though, the biggest thing is video, and be prepared
Right.
for more video. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still not seeing, I'm seeing different. For a while it was always like images have been converting better than video for a lot of my clients, but I don't know if I've seen some flip-flops now that videos doing a little better in some cases.
Look, I still struggle with using video for conversion purposes. I still don't. I'm still not sold on it because, ultimately it's good at grabbing attention. But yeah, I think it falls more on you to be able to sell at that point in your video.
Yeah.
As opposed to relying on the optimization. But I gotta tell you though, for a personal brand person like you, this is the value of video, and it's something it just can't be measured.
Right.
The number of times since I started doing video that people have told me, like, I booked this one-on-one or I signed up for Power Hitters Club because of the videos.
Yeah.
It's so many, but it's not anything that's ever going to show up in reporting, because it's like, it wasn't one particular video that made them do it.
Yeah.
It's just that, John's been talking about this. He understands this. And
I'm going to go with John. Yeah.
Right. And it's one of those things that for me, it's been a big adjustment, being okay with that type of measurement. There is no measurement. It's just trusting it, having faith in it.
Just putting it out there, keep staying consistent. So yeah.
Right.
Well, that is awesome, John. Thank you so much. To let people know where they can find you. What is how do people get connected with you on TikTok, on your website? What's your best place to?
Oh man. I guess you start with jonloomer.com. But look, the TikTok stuff has also kind of raised my profile on Instagram, which I didn't really even use Instagram before.
Yeah.
Because I do all the reels now. So at Jon Loomer on Instagram.
Yeah.
Jon Loomer Digital on Facebook. Pubcast with Jon Loomer. A lot of my videos right now are getting repurposed as little podcast shorts.
Oh, that's awesome.
But man, I don't know. I'm everywhere.
All
right
the
now.
places.
But, yeah. If you want, the next level, we've got the membership at Power Hitters Club and powerhittersclub.com. I do one-on-ones as well.
Yes. John's got a great membership. Check it out. Check out all things John. I love your videos that you've been creating. I think they've been super helpful for everybody. And I think, as our attention span does get shorter, I think short form content is great, because you get right in there, learn a little quick nugget and get back to your day. Right.
Absolutely.
So, awesome. Well, thank you, John, for being a guest here. And it has been so fun to catch up with you. And I just wish you all the best with everything. And Lisa, hey, Lisa, good time for sleep. Yeah, that's right. It's late there. Right. Good night,
Super
Lisa.
3 a.m, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's really late. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.